Alright, lads. What is up? It is, the NA Aphelios Main. NA's last hope. I will win NA Worlds. You understand? So, we're going to take a little detour from the traditional league content that I've been uploading. And today we're going to talk about something very special. We're going to talk about the two types of league players. Now, this is such an important topic that I had to break out a Guinness. If you're drinking a beer, take a nice long sip, because you're going to fucking need it this video. Delicious. So, here we are. We're going to talk about... I had to break out MS Paint for this, because it is just such an important topic, and MS Paint does it justice, alright? So we're going to talk about old school versus new school league players. Okay? Now, you might be asking, what is an old school and what is a new school league player, and how are they different? Well, what inspired this video is yesterday I played 5 games of League of Legends. Okay? Now I'm going to show you my match history. From this defeat up, I played yesterday. Okay? And the only game which inspired me to make this video is this defeat. But as you've realized, you might see this little symbol here, and it reads, the replay for this game is missing and isn't available. I don't know why it's missing, and I don't know why it's unavailable. Riot, your client sucks fat fucking cock, so fix that shit. So the only replay I want, and the only replay I need to showcase old school versus new school players is unavailable. So that's why we're breaking out MS Paint, and we're going to add some, cool photos in here too to show you. But another sip of Guinness, lads. What is old school and what are new school players? So we'll start with old school. Essentially, old school players can be defined. These both two schools of players can be defined with one word, but we're gonna go more in depth than that. Old school players, right? Listen closely. Are PvP players. All right, player versus player. New school players are PvE, otherwise known as player versus environment. Now, what do these two things mean? Old school players understand, okay? They understand that in order to win a League of Legends game, you must first kill the enemy team. Because let's not forget, guys, there's 10 people in a league game. Okay? The enemy 5 characters that load in are actual real-life human beings that are playing against you. That is what makes it a PvP game. All right? Now, a PvE player, they don't care about killing the enemy team. All they care about is farming and CSing. That's all they care about. They will sit in lane and CS for fucking 35 plus minutes. Okay? And fight one time. And then the game's over. And they lose. And they suck at farming. Okay? Because they're only PvE players. You might be wondering, how do you suck at farming if all you do is CS? Well, that's because there's a lot more to League of Legends than just fucking CSing. But these new school players, they don't get that. They have a small brain. Small cock, small brain. They don't get that. So, old school players understand that League of Legends is a PvP game. You have to kill the enemy team to get to the towers, okay? Because let's remember, guys, a League of Legends game is only won by reducing the nexuses, the enemy nexuses HP to 0 HP. the victory screen is not going to show up unless you take out the enemy Nexus's HP to 0. Alright? That's the only way it's going to work. And in order to get the enemy Nexus's HP to 0, you must first take the enemy towers and kill the enemy players. Alright? You don't just kill the enemy AI. You have to kill the enemy players. Old school players also, they also understand that there are objectives. Alright? Like Dragon, Baron, Void Mites now. Okay? There are objectives and objective timers that must be played around in order to get an advantage and win the game. They also understand that there are tower plates that can grant gold and thus grant you an item advantage, which lets you kill the enemy players more efficiently. Now, like I've mentioned 30 seconds ago, new school players, they will sit there and they will farm and CS for 35 plus minutes. And that is the only thing they will do. Alright, they suck so much cock at this game, I can't put it into words. So okay? Now, League of Legends games, okay? They should not take more than 20 minutes. They really shouldn't. If a League of Legends game goes over 35 minutes, even if it goes over 30 minutes, I would say that is an outlier in the average. Most League games are 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. And 30 minutes is even pushing it. Now, if you find yourself in a lot of long-lasting games above 35 minutes, you might be a PvE player. Alright, you might be a new school player. You might also ask, how do I know if I'm an old school or a new school player? Well, old school players have been playing the game for about 10 plus years. Alright, the League of Legends has been out for about 14, 15 years at this point. 14 to be exact. And I've played since Season 3. Alright, which is a long time ago. Now, new school players, they've played in the last 4 plus years or so. And they simply don't understand that League of Legends is a PvP game. Alright? They simply don't understand it. League of Legends, say it with me guys, is a PvP game. And there is nothing that's going to change that ever. Alright? You must kill the enemy characters. You must get towers. You must roam. You must play around the objective timers in order to win the game. Another very interesting thing that you'll see is a lot of these PvE players, whether they're mid, whether they're top, whether they're jungle, if they're a PvE player, otherwise known as a new school player or vice versa, they will have they will have 1 kill, right? A lot of the times they will actually have like 0 deaths because they don't put themselves in any position to do anything. So they'll either have 0 deaths or 20 deaths. And they will also have 0 assists because they're not contributing to the team in any way. And if you look at the graph after the game, they will also have less than 5k damage. Okay? If your jungler, if your Lee Sin jungle has less than 5k damage at 30 minutes into the game, he is a PvE player. Now, old school players, otherwise known as PvP players, they're Giga Chads, okay? They will have 20 plus kills, and they might even have, 8 deaths. But a PvP player, an old school player, understands that you might have to die in order to win the game. Dying is not the end of the game, okay? Now, another thing is a PvE player, a new school player, this new generation of League players, the ones that I've started playing in the last 4 years or so. Let's take a new school mid laner, for example. They will not even push it past the halfway point in mid ever until they think they've done enough farming. Until about 35 minutes, then they'll fight one time, die, the game's over because death timers are a minute long at that point. And they will also not get tower plates. They just simply do nothing. They think that you can come back from they think you can come back in a game if you're behind from just farming CS. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're never going to be able to catch up in a game unless you get picks on the enemy players, because League of Legends is a PvP game. It is a PvP game. You understand? Now, ask yourself, what are you? All right? Are you a old school player or a new school player? Take a look at your match history. If your match history looks like this, see all these wins? Yeah, that's right. I'm a old school player. I'm a PvP player. Okay? Now, you see all these losses? I had a bunch of new school players on my team. Okay? I had a bunch of fucking retards on my team. A bunch of PvE gamers on my team. You can't make this shit up. Now, we're going to get a fresh screen here. There is, however, a possibility to save yourself. Okay? Now, if you have just started playing League of Legends and are a new school player, and you are, in fact, a PvE player, you might wonder, how did I get there? Well, there's many reasons, but I firmly believe that if you watch the LCS or any kind of, the LCK, if you watch any of that, if you watch the LCS or LCK, you will notice that a lot of the games, right, in these tournament settings are quite slow. They're low kill count. Now, that gives new players, the new school player, kind of like the wrong idea. Because they think they can play like that, and it will translate to wins in a ranked match, which is totally incorrect. And the reason it's incorrect is because these teams, these esport organizations that are playing in the LCS and the LCK, right? They are they are 5-man communicating, all right? And they also are playing for stakes. Okay? When you load up a league game, a ranked league game, your goal should be trying to win. It should not be trying to waste time. PvE players, they will load up a ranked league game and just fucking, it's like a time sink for them. Now, an old school player will load up a ranked league game and try to win the game and make them FF at 15, which is how the game should be. Why would you want to play a game longer than is required? Okay? So, there is hope for you new school players. You can take what you've learned in this video, okay, and you can become a new, old school player. So, instead of being just a PvE player, you can take what you've learned from this video and become a PvP player. So even though you have a lot less experience than some of the old school players, okay, you will be able to win a lot more games if you just understand that League of Legends is a PvP game, and it's never going to change. You must kill the enemy characters on the other team, get towers, get tower plates, get objectives, and reduce the enemy Nexus's HP to 0 in order to win a League of Legends game. And if you're playing around objective timers, the game should not be more than 35 plus minutes. It should not be more than 25 minutes, in all honesty. The only way it's going to progress longer than 25 plus minutes is an outlier game where, you know, you either both, whether either you have a bunch of PvE players on your team or the champions you pick have to wait a little longer in order to scale up and actually do something. Okay, so do me a favor. If you are a New school player, take what you've learned and become a new old school player, okay? New old school. If you are an old school player, keep doing what you're doing because you're Giga Chad and you understand how the game's supposed to be played. And you have a big cock. New school players have small cocks, okay? And guys, that's really it. It's not that hard. League of Legends is quite a simple game if you just understand that there are objectives and objective timers you must play around. Also, don't forget to ward. It's not like it costs fucking money to ward. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.